Hello, I'm Casey Aiken, and this is 21 This Week. Coming up next, post-election analysis of the Maryland primaries. Can Delaney be elected again in CD6, or is third time the charm for Parrott? Why did incumbent Rebecca Slondrowski lose the D2 school board race? And Republican Larry Hogan matches up with upset Democratic primary winner Angela Alsobrooks in the U.S. Senate contest. Our panel of insiders will give you the story behind the story. We're joined by Laurie Halverson, a member of the Montgomery County Republican Central Committee, and civic activist Carey Lamari. Stay tuned for these stories and more on the next 21 This Week. Years ago, there was a very popular book by author Robert Fulghum called All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. And as we all know, most of the popular kindergarten games, the most popular was musical chairs. Now, politics is a lot like musical chairs. The music starts playing when one incumbent decides to retire or seek other office. And the primary day is the first time the music stops and everyone is scrambling for a seat. In the 6th Congressional District, when incumbent Congressman David Trone announced that he was running for the vacated U.S. Senate seat, there was a mad scramble in both parties to get in on the game. Carey, for months now, we've been watching with keen interest the Democratic primary in CD6, where 17 candidates entered the race, but it quickly narrowed down to a contest between April McLain Delaney, spouse of the former Congressman John Delaney, and Delegate Joel Vogel. Tell us about this race.
Well, it's very interesting, and I was a little bit surprised that David Trone didn't win myself. I spoke to many people, and they indicated that hey, he's got the money, and fighting if you're going to bring him against Hogan or whoever goes against Hogan, it's going to require some money in the coming election. But one thing that people never realize, it's not just money; it's endorsements.
Well, before we get to the Senate race, let's talk about the race for to fill his vacancy.
Okay,
between April McLain Delaney and Joe Vogel. I mean, Joe Vogel did a great job attacking her from the left. And what happened in that race?
Well, I mean, $2 million, $1 million came from her own pocket. That's pretty hefty. In a race like this, not to mention name recognition. You've got your husband that had 6 years in the same seat, and remember, April Delaney is a former Biden administration. She was a director of Common Sense Media, which essentially protects children from online predators, online events, online things. She's a philanthropist. I think the combination coming together really helped her out, to be quite honest with you.
Well, so, here's the interesting thing. I was looking at the statistics last night on the voting results. Mrs. Delaney only received 39% of the entire Democratic vote. And, because of the attacks from the left, is the party going to coalesce behind her in November?
That's a tough one. The fact of the matter is about 8% of the population voted in this election. It was a very low turnout. I mean, in the presidential race, we saw 10% of that voted uncommitted. We're in a difficult time right now. I mean, people are disenchanted with a lot of things that are going on. I do believe they will. I mean, remember, who's the Republican candidate for president? It's Trump. So Democrats will coalesce around any Democratic candidate that's put up. But it's going to be interesting. I want to see how many people actually show up in the general election. This is I've never seen an election this low.
Yeah, it was a weird election cycle. I mean, even when you went to the polls, the number of enthusiasm looked very low. Laurie, on the Republican ticket, there were just 7 candidates, all of whom were pretty darn good. I have to admit, I met all 7 of them, with former delegate Neil Parrott and Dan Cox as the leading contenders, with a strong third place finish from Dr. Morella Roca. Tell us about this race, how it shaped up.
Yes, well, Neil Parrott joined in the race the last minute on the day of the deadline date for filing. So that really changed the race a lot. Tom Broyles had a good, a lot of support. He had raised a lot of money compared to everyone else, but wow, he only got 4% of the vote. Maybe he did not focus outside of Montgomery County. I'm not real sure how he did so badly. Dan Cox got 30% of the vote. Of course, he ran for governor and has name recognition, but Neil Parrott, you know, he really deserved to win. This is his third time running, and if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have a chance. The Republicans, there are now more Republicans in this District 6, and that's a lot of it is because of him, because he and Judicial Watch filed a lawsuit, and that helped to create the you know, the new boundaries.
We got about a minute left, and this is an important question for you. There were roughly 36,000 Democratic votes cast in this primary election, while there were 42,000 Republican votes in their respective primary. So are you poised as the Republican Party to pick up this seat in November?
You know, I was surprised, really surprised to see that more Republicans voted than Democrats.
That never happens. That never happens in Maryland.
District 6 was energized, not so much in Montgomery County because there were more Democrats that voted in Montgomery County. But, you know, I think that there is a really strong chance that Neil Parrott can win in Congress. So let's hope for that.
All right. So, Carey, just an exit question for you. Will the attacks by Vogel from the left help Mrs. Delaney in November?
I don't think so. No, I think that Vogel's going to coalesce around Delaney. I think the party's going to come together, and it depends on a lot of things. The factors revolving around.
Yes or no, Carey? Come on, I don't want the what ifs. We got to go to break.
No.
Okay. All right. Let's take a look at the Maryland School Board. I mean, the Montgomery County School Board election, and there are those that bemoan the lack of turnout in this election. But the most hotly contested election occurred in the school board races, where one at-large seat was being contested, along with 2 district seats in Districts 2 and 4, and had incumbents running in all 3 of those races. Carey, Lynne Harris and Rita Montoya are the 2 candidates who will advance to November. Does Miss Harris have an advantage because she's already on the board?
She's a good lady. You know, she's got 150 student advisory boards. Yeah, she will advance, and it will help her. I would not you know, put it past the other representatives like Laura Stewart. She's powerful. Miss Zimmerman is absolute, has a lot of positive attributes. The fact of the matter is, MCEA chose not to endorse any of the incumbents. They chose to do the outsiders. So the other 3 candidates were endorsed by MCCA, the Montgomery County School Board, School Teachers Union.
Okay. All right. Let's go to number 2, District 2. Laurie, incumbent Rebecca Slomandrowski lost to 2 challengers, Natalie Zimmerman and Brenda Diaz, with Zimmerman receiving 46% of the vote. That was eye-popping for that race. What can you tell us about this race?
Yes, well, I'm really happy that Brenda Diaz is the second place finisher there. She is a newcomer, and she is a teacher with solutions. She's the only one in the District 2 race that I think was providing solutions to anything, where Zimmerman, she's a teacher. She's got a conflict of interest there because she's going to be voting on a budget that affects her own salary. That it used to be that teachers couldn't, you know, MCPS teachers could not be on the board. I'm not sure when it changed, but now it's allowed. And I think as a voter, I don't want to vote for Zimmerman because I think there's a huge conflict of interest with her if she wins. She should, if she does win, she should recuse herself from all budget votes, and there's no purpose in her being on the board if that's the case. Rebecca, she didn't do anything really. She was in one forum for the League of Women Voters. She didn't even change her website from I think the last time, and she was endorsed by SEIU Union, but she really seemed to just really not want it this time. Because
there was a lot of controversy over the school board for the past 2 years, and you wonder if that had any play in here. Let's go to District 4. Carey, The results are not quite final. Between Bethany Mandel and incumbent Sherba Evans, there's about a 0.5% between the two, and they're still counting mail-in ballots. But like the District 2 race, newcomer Laura Stewart dominated the field. What can you tell us about this race?
Laura's an amazing lady. For the past decade, she's been actively involved in a subtle way with countywide politics. And I think she led the field and led the discussion. I mean, we saw the dysfunction of our Montgomery County public school system in the past year, with the Beetleman situation, with Damascus, $9.7 million payout, for, children that were sexually assaulted. Laura is demanding accountability. She's demanding transparency. And that's the common thread that you would find, that you see with all the candidates that actually won the election. All of them ran on transparency, accountability, and the fact of the matter is the public is very well aware of the dysfunction. So it's time for change.
We got it. We're going to get it. Laurie, do you have any last thoughts on this?
Well, no, I think everyone except for Brenda Diaz is not going to give you any change. They're all establishment type people. Even Laura Stewart, she's a far left person who's not going to change anything. She's going to just, maybe demand accountability. That might help. I don't know if that's going to be something she's really going to do. So, yeah.
All right. Well, those were two fascinating races, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in November with those races and whether they'll get better funding. I mean, one of the big issues in the school board races was that nobody had any money.
That's
they
right.
Were, kind of cash strapped.
There were no yard signs. There were very few yard signs this time. I was surprised that we weren't littered with lawn signs this time.
Well, everybody says, and I think this is true, that the presidential race was decided, and so the level of interest and enthusiasm was way down the scale. Absolutely. It's just, that's the way it happens sometimes. When we come back from this short break, former Republican Governor Larry Hogan easily won the Republican primary, but what happened on the Democratic side? Stay tuned. We'll tell you.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
And welcome back. With a slim Democratic Party majority in control of the U.S. Senate, there was a great deal of national media attention focused on the two primaries in the Maryland election. As a result of two-term former Governor Larry Hogan running to fill the seat being vacated by Democratic Senator Ben Cardin, long thought to be bluer than blue Senate seat was suddenly in play with the popular Hogan as a possible game changer. Laurie, I'm going to start with you because only the naysayers gave anyone not named Hogan a chance to win the Republican Party. Tell us about that race.
Okay, so yeah, Robin Ficker was his 22nd time running for office, and he put in a lot of his own money, $4 million, and had a lot of actually very good ads that showed he was pro-Trump. But I think people know who Robin Ficker is, and they know that Hogan has a track record that's pretty strong. So Hogan won handily, and I think he's smart to stay in the middle of, he's trying to get the Democrat and independent votes. He's pro-Israel. He had 77% favorability rating in his second term as governor. And one thing I thought was really awesome is that he, in his second term, he doubled the support among Black voters. And that it'll be interesting to see against Alsobrooks how he will do. Will people decide to vote for a Black woman who, you know, I'm not really sure what she has accomplished so far in her term at Prince George's County, but you know, Hogan is strong on crime, and I think it may just come out with who has the winning message. I hope it will not be just based on race. I hope it'll be based on.
Well, we're going to focus on you know the election, the general election issues in a minute, but I want to give you a final question about this. We saw in 22 when Dan Cox ran as for governor against Larry Hogan, and Robin Ficker picked up 30% of the Republican vote. Are those voters going to come back to Hogan in November if he has a chance, in order for him to have a chance to win in November?
Well, they will vote. They will come out to vote because they want to vote for Trump for sure. So they will be checking those boxes. Will they leave Hogan's box blank? If they do,
there's a lot of anger from
yeah, but I mean that means a vote for Alsobrooks. I mean, if they don't vote for Hogan, they're going to be supporting Alsobrooks, who is much more left than Hogan. So I think they need to choose the better of their what they believe is the two evils. Hopefully they will vote for Hogan.
Carey.
Okay.
Wait a minute. How did David Trone fumble his obvious economic advantage in the primary, where he outspent Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsobrooks 6-1, as in $42 million to $7 million? What the hell happened?
I can tell you what happened. I think that maybe he spent too much money on the race. Sometimes when you say something, especially after you say it, you can't take it back. When he attacked Angela Alsobrooks about her inexperience, he got bombarded. I mean, Donna Brazier from the DNC and many other people said, hey, what you're saying here is just really an attack against an African-American, especially when you consider where I didn't even know where Angela Brooks came from when she first ran. But the more I learned, the more I became, wow, this lady's got a lot of, no wonder you have Jamie Raskins, Chris Van Hollins, Wes Moore, even former county executive Ike Leggett supporting her. The woman came from middle-class America. She worked her way up to be a prosecutor. She caught a lot of flack because she was a pro-justice prosecutor, from the far progressive movement. And then she came back and said, no, I believe in second chances. I believe in getting kids, giving them a second opportunity and get better. The fact of the matter, if she's elected, she'll be the fourth Black African-American female to ever sit in the Senate. She'll be the first that comes from Maryland. Now, what is her accomplishments as county executive in PG County? 10 schools that she's broken ground on just in the past couple of years. She's fought hard and got the FBI to headquarter in Prince George's County, and she's increased the economic rate for Prince George's. I mean, there's more jobs in PG County today than before she was elected. Compare that to Montgomery County. We've lost 14,000 jobs since 2018. Angela Alsobrooks, in her short term, has got a significant amount of accomplishments, and I think the people will rally around her.
All right. Well, we got to go. I want to focus in our last 2 minutes on what are going to be the hot issues in November. Already, we're hearing ads being run that abortion is going to be the key issue in this race, rather than the economy, rather than who's on the top of the ticket. So, Laurie, I'm going to start with you. You got about 60 seconds, and we'll go to Carey.
I believe the economy will be the number one issue. If Democrats think that abortion will be it because it was last time, I think they're going to make a big mistake.
Well, we do have a Maryland constitutional amendment on the ballot. Will that play into it?
Yeah, and that's all window dressing, and it's unfortunate that amendments there. I don't think it's just
okay.
It shouldn't be an issue. And Hogan has already said he's really trying to make it a non-issue. He's just recently said today, I think, that he's going to be for the Roe versus Wade. decision.
Anyway, Carey, we got about 45 seconds left.
Real quick, I do believe that the women's rights will be a huge issue. It was in the last election. I ran in it. I can tell you, it was the election for women. We got how many councilwomen in Montgomery County? Angela Alsobrooks has made it her beck and call that she is going to change, bring back and codify Roe versus Wade. She's going to fight for women's rights. I think that's going to be the issue.
Well, I think I think this is going to be a tremendously fun election to watch because I think there are two strong candidates, and Hogan is a proven winner, but so is Alsobrooks. She's proven through not only her election as county executive, but through the primary. She's going to be a tough opponent. It's going to be fun to watch. Stay tuned for Party Shots when we come back.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now I'm anything but lonely.
We have this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure love.
And welcome back. Now with Parting Shots, Laurie Halverson.
Yes, well, this week is the Naval Academy Commissioning Week, and that means the Blue Angels will be performing. So if you have the chance to get it out there and see them, on the 21st is practice day that starts at 1:30. And the 22nd is the show day, starts at 1:30 also. If you know someone with a boat, maybe you can cousin any of them, your friends, and ask if you can get on the boat and see from the boat, because I went last year and oh my gosh, they're so close that when the jets fly right above you, it is thrilling. It is so exciting. So it's just a really fun event to go to. Thank you, Laurie. Carey Lamari, your parting shot.
Okay, I'm going to harp on attainable housing, the attainable housing zoning text amendment yet again. The planning staff is pushing it through again. There's been no changes to it since the last planning board, except that they're now considering community land trust for affordable housing, which I think is a good thing. But the reality is, overall, this could change not only the character of Montgomery County, but it could change our tree canopy, our environment, our transportation, parking in our neighborhoods. People need to get involved. Otherwise, you could wake up after this is elected and see a 3-unit apartment building in any neighborhood, okay, in suburbia, being broken ground on across the street, or a house being torn down to being replaced with attainable housing. And the overlay of the amount of disruption in these neighborhoods, the significant increase of floor area, will be a major change. Okay, get involved.
It's a very cutting issue because we need housing, but how do we get there? Great point, Carey. I want to thank both of you. Hey, my shout out for this week is for our panelist and friend Nancy Florine. Nancy not only was a member of the planning board, she was a county council member for several years. She ran for county executive. Right now, she volunteers on election day to serve as election judge. And I think that's so admirable of her. And it just underscores the importance of our election system and how we shouldn't take it for granted. So kudos to you, Nancy Florine, and keep at it. And we look forward to having her on the program very soon. I want to thank you both for being here. I want to thank the audience for tuning in each and every week to Montgomery County's hardest hitting political talk show. For 21 this week, I'm Casey Aiken.